welcome back. And if you didn't expect to see an episode today, neither did I. But episode 11, I'm here, I'm making it. I've got it all planned out, all the segments, yada yada. I'm going to try to do it with as little editing as possible. I watched Lee do his podcast, and I watched all of his episodes he's put up so far. Banging podcast, I would say. I like his setup. The setup looks familiar, dog. I mean, I want to know where he's recording, because that desk, the mic, I know he's in Nashville. It all looks too familiar to me. I want to ask him, be like, hey man, where are you recording your pod? But anyways, I'm gonna start it with Cobb review, because there was a Nephew Tommy show that has happened since I've done the pod, and do I wanna review that? Holy shit! So first of all, let me just say, Nephew Tommy, if you don't know, he is the nephew, I think, actual nephew of Steve Harvey, and he's on the Steve Harvey morning show as like a character called Nephew Tommy. Recently, he got cancer and he beat it, so I'm happy for him. Good for him. His shtick is he goes around to theaters, sometimes clubs. It should stay in theaters, and he has a DJ that he brings with him, like his own DJ, and they throw a Nephew Tommy house party. So it's fun. It's a great time. But in a comedy club, I had a picture for it. It was crazy. Like, there's a stage that we have, right? It's not that big of a stage because it's not that huge of a room because it's a comedy club. So we have a stage that's, who knows, I'd say probably like 10 by who knows what. He, it's crazy. This man set up a whole DJ booth to the left of the stage. So we couldn't have it was a sold out show, almost every single show. Insane. He brought all sorts of people too. There was a thing that was confirmed for me. The people who listen to radio, buddy, they go all over the spectrum. I sound like an asshole saying this, but the definition of joke after joke. Overall, the weekend wasn't a bad weekend for me. I mean, the wait staff said they didn't get tipped well, but he himself, Nephew Tommy, is a diva, I will say. There's a few comedians that'll you witness these things that like only people who are in my Garrett, Jordan, some of the wait staff, I guess, if they're paying attention. But you have to be in those shoes for multiple and multiple comedians in a row just to see the difference, like reactions of like, for example, how Nephew Tommy would be is, I guess, the justification behind it, quote unquote, is he hasn't been on stage in a while because he was beating cancer, so now he's back on stage, and a lot of his set is like partying and talking to the crowd and being all, yeah, hey, I'm happy, let's do this. He's not doing that much like actual talking. Here's a bit, this is my joke, ha ha ha. So the very few moments he does actually like mic to mouth on, like he's talking to the crowd. He's not trying to have a song in the background playing or hype somebody up. He's just saying a bit. I guess those are the specific moments he wants absolutely nobody to be in the way. And I can kind of see the justification behind it. Knowing you're like that, come on, that kind of like puts the diva title on you. So, like for example, again, whenever the wait staff are going around getting drinks or like dropping checks, for example, it's some of them have it really easy, never get sold out, and some of them have it super hard. In the side of the rooms or in the back of the rooms, they can just stand up and just, there you go, there you go. But whenever you have the wait staff that has to go down the middle, which is how the comedian one gets to and from the stage, plus It is the one spot where the comedian is gonna see you standing in front of people's vision. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times the taller male servers that we have, if it's sold out and the person is knowingly a diva, they won't be able to have the middle. They have to pick like one of the backs or the sides or just something other than the middle. And we had a waitress that she's newer than some of the other waitresses, and she wasn't having it. The whole you got to bend down all the way, and he stopped the entire show, and he didn't even like acknowledge it as this is a problem at first. He acknowledged it as like he played it off as a joke, and that's the first time. I was like, okay, so he doesn't want people in front of him. But like I said, the justification earlier, it wasn't all the time because she would be in front of him, like dropping, like not dropping checks, but like picking a glass up or dropping a drink off, and but she'd be bent down, and I could see his eyes like kind of just like stare at her, but he wouldn't say anything, and he wasn't necessarily doing a joke. There was music playing, or which I'll get to that later, and he would just pick the very specific moments where he's talking, oh, this is a bit, and then the bit ends. She's basically bent down, but at the front tables, getting a glass or taking an order or something. And then for this specific moment, he finished the bit, like stepped back a little bit to the center of the stage, and was just staring at her, but he stopped saying something completely. And at this point, she's already walked back from the front two tables, and she's like halfway down the aisle. So she's not really in the way, I would say. She's like at the last back two tables of the middle. Which, if you've been to the comedy club, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, I might be able to drop like some sort of picture because I have hella pictures of just like the way the room's set up. But anyways, she was like halfway down to where he would have to kind of like look for her to even see her at this point, and he was still just not saying anything in the middle of the stage, just staring. Keep in mind, 250 people out in front of him, sold out show, and he's just completely stopped, microphone up, just staring, and he goes for at least, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds of not saying anything, and then she's already gone at this point to where like she's already in the back of the rows. She, I guess at first didn't realize, oh, it's quiet because of me. So she was just doing her thing. As soon as I realized what was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, he's this much of a diva. This is so embarrassing for him, to be honest. Because a lot of people that were watching it had no idea what was happening. There were some people, they start chatting at that point because they're like, well, what's happening? I don't know. And then someone knows at the table because someone probably feels the same way. They're like, well, that bitch up front wouldn't get out of his way. And then he acknowledged it, which he tried to pull a joke out, but he wasn't. She was gone at that point, so he had pretty much like been down and like look and search for her just to talk shit to her. And that pissed me off because he had the little one of the henchmen that he brought along that would nonstop get in the way. He decided to take action and he ran over to the middle and tried to pull her to the side and try to say something to her. And she was just like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And she didn't follow him. And so he walked back all mad and he was mouthing something like that bitch. And that pissed me off too because I was like, bitch, if you're going to mouth something, like at least don't do it in front of the other people that work with her. What are you doing? But overall, that just turned it like, oh, he's a diva. But it's Steve Harvey. He's on a radio. You know what I'm saying? He's not used to a comedy club, and if, for a good reason, he's probably not going to come back. He doesn't need to be back at a comedy club. And I say that with all due respect because that's not what he's not doing comedy. He's trying to, but he's not doing it. 80% of his show was dancing. He had his DJ go from the years 20s, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s to 70s. And every single year, they stood up and they played music for their generation and they would dance to it. That took about 30 minutes alone. And then he started the show with somebody doing poetry. The second person was actually comedy, I guess. Wasn't bad. He was nice too. And they were all nice except Nephew Tommy. He was a diva. Then I didn't even get to this. This is the craziest part about the whole thing. Oh my gosh. The way he closed the show was so irritating because he plans to do a one show a day. Like, start the show at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, be out by 8:30, whatever. All right, be home by 9, in bed by 9:30, and up in the next morning for the radio show. Well, I guess he didn't plan ahead whenever he was like, oh yeah, let's do 2 shows on Saturday. Like, okay, well, we could do 2 shows, but the first show he basically did 2 shows in one. Just fucking, taking as much time as he could to not do anything. It's the realest way I could put it. Then he would end the show where some dude he brought along, and I'm not gonna say he wasn't funny, but there was some bits in there that if people actually did research, they weren't his bits. And he had a carrot top type of thing where he would bring cutouts of the actual words. So I don't know what difference that makes other than they can like visually just see it as he says it. But Nephew Tommy would end his set, blah 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 blah. Thank you, I'm out. He brings somebody else up to close the show and tells jokes for like 15, 20 more minutes. And then psych, he's like, all right, I'm done. Nephew Tommy comes back on stage and talks just like a merch pitch. And he talks about the shirts he has. All right, that's it. And then he officially closes the show. And then we have to VIP, back up, escort him to the fucking door so he can go upstairs. It was very dramatic and very diva-ish, which is why I'm saying he probably won't go to a comedy club again because that is a theater act. That is what you do in theaters because in theaters you're not as touchable as you are in a comedy club. And that man likes to stay untouchable as much as possible. But overall, like the show, the vibes, how everyone was excited leaving, I'm not saying it was a bad show. But I'm saying it was an out of place for a comedy club. It would have hit 10 times harder if it was at the theater, at like the Opera House or something. I would lean it more on the positive than the negative. So I'm not gonna like shit on him, but I can for sure say that I don't think he'll be back for a while. This is going to be a hard transition, but that's how it be. Michael got me into watching Invincible. I haven't even told him I finished it yet, but I'm going to talk about it on the pod. And there might be some spoilers later on, so I'll give warnings. And if you have not watched it but plan on watching it, or if you're like in the middle of watching it and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to, say it, because there's 3 seasons and it's 8 episodes a season. That's pretty short. So the first thing I'm gonna do is a Drew's top 5, but I'm gonna do top 5 Invincible characters. Because I do have a list, I'm not gonna lie. And my list from the very beginning changed because, I mean, it's forced to. I mean, no matter what, you're forced to like new people. It's a show about superheroes and death, so no matter what, people are gonna die. You know what I'm saying? And keep in mind, this list, if you have watched Invincible, it might be controversial. I don't know. And if you have not watched Invincible, this list might mean absolutely nothing to you, and you might just skip past this. Who cares? But I do have it 1 through 5. I had to take time to put them all. I listed all the characters that I fucked with, and I was like, all right, out of these, who are like the reasonable top 5, and who, like in order, who would I put as number 1? And of course, I always do, I'm gonna start 5 to 1. But it was a hard list. It definitely was. I got like 9 names written out total. But number 5, Cecil. And it's a weird pick, I know. But let's be honest. He's in most time, pop the knee out. In most scenarios, he's trying to do more good than bad. He will do bad to save people, but I mean, I feel like overall, out of all 3 seasons altogether, he's stayed more positive than negative, I could say. And I mean, he doesn't switch up, so I respect that. 4, Eve. And that's because, like, I don't want to spoil it. She won me over towards the end. And I'm not going to say in the beginning she didn't win me over. But in the beginning, I was like, okay, this is going to be like some love arc, blah, 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 blah. But no, I would say for power wise, she's up there for sure. 2, I mean, like, she's fucking, let's be honest. Out of all the girl characters, it's her or Amber that are like actual good character like building off of. I mean, there are some other good characters, I guess, but they don't go in detail. They go into detail with her. And apparently, I saw that there was a second show with just her. I don't know what that's about. It popped up as like a up next little bubble thing, and I was like, "What is that?" And it had her on the title, and it had Eve in the title too. I didn't give it a shot, and I was like, "I don't know about that. That might be too much." But Cecil, Eve, and then number 3. This was where It might get controversial. Damien Darkblood. And listen, I know he's just a play off of the Damien Dark off of Arrowverse. I get it, and it's Hellboy as his skin, but I fucks with him. And it's sad because this might be a spoiler, might not be. I don't know. He's barely even in it. I was like, what the fuck, man? Once I finally decided, I was like, oh yeah, I fuck with him. Let's see what happens with this dude. Other than the whole like, hell and Satan and all the rituals and all that shit, that's just like, yeah, that's part of it whenever he's a demon. But comedy wise, there's not much comedy built for him. I was expecting there some lines or something, but he's just very like not 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 like serious because he of course he's a serious character, but it's like underused is what I'm thinking because they have such a play on names for everybody. It's like the Flashes, Batman, Damien Dark. It's crazy. So hopefully in this next season, I'm not gonna give any spoilers. Hopefully they will use him some more, because he's my number 3. I will say, and number 2. This is where me and Michael have in common. Except his is probably number 1 for this guy. But number 2 is Alan. And Alan the alien, bro, the second he heard his voice, I was like, there's no way. That's Seth Rogen. Dog, that was such a pleasant surprise. Because Michael put me on the show, and I didn't know what I was getting into. And then I just started binge watching it out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, yeah, I actually like the show. This is good. And then I realized that most of the people, there's a few people I've noticed, Mark Hamill, J.K. Simmons, etc. I was like, is that their voice? That sounds familiar. And then I heard Alan's voice, and I was like, yo, I feel like whenever this was like of the times and happening like mid culture, and I was like, just wasn't watching it at the time. I don't know what year this came out, but I feel like I remember seeing clips of this and like him being it, but I never put 2 and 2 together of like, oh, I should watch it because it's gonna be funny. Well, I missed out because Alan's number 2. He's fucking great character arc. The building and I hope like Seth Rogen has a say in how his character is like made. You know what I'm saying? Because I would assume Alan is a character from the comics still. I haven't read the comics. I haven't seen anything of the comics versus the TV show differences for Alan. I don't know if it's the same, like the exact same, or if they're completely different. Who knows? But I do know that either way, it is great arc for him, even to the very end. And again, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but it's all together. It is very like Michael mentioned this whenever he was trying to get me to watch the show. He said overall the characters are really good. And he's right. The characters are really good. But, which leads me to number one. Man, oh man. This is the one where I was like, who's gonna be my number one like person character that I fuck with from Invincible? And I finally come to a decision. And once I like actually decided, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes the most sense. And it's not like I'll give an honorable mention. An honorable mention would be like Invincible. He's not even on my top five. Omni-Man, not even on my top five. It's crazy. Debbie, not even on my top five. It's crazy. The main family, the main Grayson family is not on my top five. But who's close to them? This man, Art Rosenbaum. Art is the realest fucking person on the show, I swear. On both sides, there's no point he switches up. And he's fucking very useful. He makes all sorts of dope ass suits too. Yeah, 100%. I was like, it's gotta be Art. It's gotta be. Cecil, Eve, Damien Darkblood, Alan, and Art. It's my top five. But I'm also going to take that and just use it with a taste of content as well for Invincible. Because this is where the spoilers start to happen. So if I'll give season 1, season 2, then season 3. Because I've just binge watched all of it within like the last few days. And if you have not watched season 1, go ahead and skip now. Because I liked it at first. But then it started to, the first episode was the hardest first episode I've ever had to watch of a TV show. And I don't know if I've mentioned this. I had to have mentioned this on the podcast before. I am a pussy for gore. I don't know what it is. Well, I take that back. I know exactly what it is. I don't know why necessarily it happened. Like, I know what caused, or like, so like, this is like 2018. I was a little wild boy and got a little fucked up and on, whatever. And I was watching a bunch of scary movies and just like, it was of the times where like you can kind of just watch the most fucked up internet videos that you could imagine on like Reddit. And I would inevitably get sent these links from fucking, believe it or not, friends, and they're like, yo, you gotta see this shit. And I'd just be sitting there fucked up, and I'd just be like, yo, and it'd tear me apart. And to the point where some of it like, I didn't even, if I was fucked up, it wouldn't bother me. But then I'd get sober, and then I'd look at it, and I just would be so squeamish, and I couldn't do it. I'd be like, oh God, oh fuck. And then now, ever since, it's 2025, ever since, I'll watch something where like the first episode of Invincible and that last fight scene, dude, it almost tears me up. It's crazy. I don't like vomit or anything, but I will physically like, oh shit, I'll physically cringe. It's what's happening is my mind imagines what it would be like to have that pain. And I can give an explanation as to what like deeply actually happened to where I'm like this with gore. Hey, I'll tell you personally, but not out on the pod. And keep that in mind as I'm watching this fucking show, because the entire show is about gore, tearing people apart, just smashing heads. And I'm just sitting there like, oh God, why am I watching this? Oh God, I'm such a pussy. But overall, the character it was good. It was worth watching though, which says something. Because a lot of stuff I'll just turn off completely. I'm like, nah, I'm not even watching it. Like, to give an example of how much a pussy I am with gore, there's at some points I can't even watch UFC fights anymore. I used to love watching UFC fights. I I I can watch them because I can kind of tell whenever it's about to get like, oh fuck, he's about to get fucked up. But if I'm telling you, how I just reacted, I just like imagined it in my head. But if I'm watching a fight at a bar and I'm seeing some dude just go for a punch and then he gets knocked out, but whenever he gets knocked out, his leg falls and just like bends the wrong way and you see bone, there is a chance I might scream like a child. Not like a ah, but I'll do a oh shit. I'll do something like that and I'll freak out and have to I can't look at the screen. It's not for me. And I thought maybe walking into this, it'll be animated. It won't be that bad. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I can just get used to it. No, up until season 3, episode 8, I was still like, holy shit. Never, they were just crushing heads. I was like, this is insane. I don't understand this. But season 1, I enjoyed it. It was a little, I'm not going to say it was a little slow. You could feel that if like that's the most they put into like animation wise. I think so. They put like the most like thought into it. Season 2 they were kind of like laughing in our face. Like animation like they would even like say they made the joke of we even cover our mouths so you don't so you don't have to animate the mouth. Like you know what I'm saying? Or like they'd be looking behind them and the camera would be behind them. We'd have it where they're talking away from us, so it would just be cheaper. So they broke the fourth wall in like some little clever ways, but by not actually breaking it, of course. But still, season 1 was good. It was just a little slow for what I was expecting from season, like from the fucking fight scene to pop off with. And well, all right, like I said, this is gonna be the part where spoilers are happening. You figure out that psych, it's a whole new team that you start watching. So who cares who you liked on this team? It doesn't matter. The only person that's gonna be there is Omni Man and fucking Slate Feud. I'm not gonna say who. Now we're leading to season 2. If you have not watched season 2, feel free to skip. It was the season that I was like warned about the most of like, hey, look, this is gonna people skip this season, which blows my mind. How could you go through watching a show and just skip like an entire season like that? Could not be me. Could not be me. Especially not that season because that was a pretty important season in my mind at least. Because like that's the season where we figured out about Alan. You know what I'm saying? I would say season 2 is my second favorite season, and season 3. This is gonna be top like controversial again. So if you haven't watched season 3, feel free to skip forward because I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it. It is my favorite season. I know I read the most about like, hey, look, the animation sucks. Michael and JP even told me the animation was they spent less for like the budget purposes, but there was a lot of shit talk online where like we'll get some random sort of like an animated meme or something for I'll see on like Instagram because it's in my algorithm now. So like a shit post or something will pop up. You look at the comments. This is better animation than season 3, and I'm like, yo, what the? Why are you shitting on this? This is obviously not better animation. But overall, I guess it's common just to shit on the animation for season 3. I like the arc of the story though. That shit bang, dude. Like I'm surprised not as many people died as should have. Cause there was a little like 3 or 4 episode period where, in my mind, it didn't mean anything for anybody to die. I was like, okay, look, anybody can die at this point because they're just gonna bring whoever. But once they, all right, so we're season 3. We're past all of the people who would be affected by spoilers at this point. Once they brought back William's boyfriend, whatever his name is, Kyle or whatever, and made him pretty much a robot, I was like, okay, anybody can die, and they'll just bring him back. And then I was proven wrong, except for the very end, because then I was like, oh shit. I thought Eve was about to die, and I was like, wow, that's a bold take, because I don't know anything in the comics. So, like, maybe, who knows, maybe Eve does die. That's how it be. And then that bitch came back even more powerful, and I was like, okay, yeah, she just solidified her place as number 4 for the list. Because I don't know what she justified is like how she did it. She like reatomized her body because like she has limits from whenever she was born to where she can only use her power to certain points, but whenever she's about to die, she can use it to the full extent, which is a crazy like a writing loop for the writers to put in there to be like, listen, we can't make her super OP, but we want to have her on the back as like, hey, look, she might be one of the most powerful. So if it comes to it, what the fuck? But hey, it earned the spot as number 4 on the list. That's for sure. And apparently, she did so well to get that second spinoff show, which I'll have to look into that and maybe watch it. I think there was an episode 1 out. There might be more. Who knows? And then they had the whole Oliver spin, and at first I was like, wow, they're really gonna write Debbie raising the illegitimate child that Omni-Man had. And then I was like, okay, Oliver's a pretty cool kid. You know what I'm saying? And well, except for the fact that the dude is trying to actively die. It feels like 9 times out of 10, he's just like, fuck whatever she's saying. I'm trying to go throw fisticuffs with this alien. And it was crazy because I don't know how old he is at this point in the show, but he's still a child. So I thought that dude, what's his name at the end? Big fucking buff ass. I don't even know what they're called, but Omni Man and Invincible are. How crazy is that? I finished an entire episode, and not episode, an entire series, all 3 series. Watched every single episode, and I still don't know the specifics on like the back. Well, because I knew it and I heard it and I've heard it multiple times, but at this point I've just forgotten it. I've blanked it out of my head because I'm like, I don't care. Like they're not on my top 5. You know what I'm saying? If Alan had a last name, I'd know Alan's last name. But they disrespected my man's by not giving him my last name. Damien Darkblood, I know his full name. Eve, Samantha. Wait, wait. Wilkins, I think. I think that's right. Me editing, I'll be able to check that. And Cecil, I don't know. I only know him as Cecil, and to be honest, I didn't even like him till like the last end of season 2 and season 3. Art Rosenbaum, I know his full name for sure. That man is a fucking G. But overall, it was a good show. If you haven't watched it and you've just watched this and didn't skip because you're like, well, fuck it, I haven't watched it, I don't plan on it, I respect it. But if you have Amazon Prime, guess what? I didn't. I had to get the hookup. You should, if you have Amazon Prime, watch it. If you don't have it, but you got a friend to, you should get the hookup too. Because it's worth getting the hookup to watch it, I will say. Good show. It was a good recommendation from Michael, for sure. And look, this next thing I'm going to transition to, it's one of those things where like, hey, look, it's Drew's podcast. That's how it be. The skip option is 100% available to everybody on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on everybody. But I'm going, man, I'm going to do a certified banger. And it's a little short, kinda. So I have 2. There's one that like I'm not that, how do I say this nicely without pissing the entire fan base off if they ever see this? I'm just not that into Cardi. Playboy Cardi. I Am Music is the first one. He has a very specific type of taste that you have to like in music. And that just isn't me. I like some of his songs. I'm not saying he's a bad artist. He's a great artist because I know he's got fucking millions of fans that are diehards. But the hype that he had built up for this I Am Music, it was like a 5-year build up or something. Man, from he had Kanye West to academics to 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙄𝘼𝑃, all Lil Uzi Vert, all sorts of people just popping out last minute, just promoting this. And I listened to it. The second it dropped, like the day it dropped. Okay, well, let me rephrase this. If you're not aware of how it dropped in general, Academics was supposed to be on call with Cardi, and Cardi was trying to call him and be like, "Hey, look, I'm trying to drop this. What the fuck you doing?" Academics was drunk and asleep because he's a dummy, and so whenever he woke up at like 2, 3 a.m., he called Cardi and was like, "Yo, my bad," and he was like, "All right, no, you good. Let's do this." And I guess they started to play in the music to get ready to drop it. By the time they drop it, it was like 7 a.m. the next morning. So I woke up. I was like, "Oh shit! He still hasn't dropped it yet. What the fuck?" But then, who knows? Like an hour later, I checked it and I was like, "Yo, it dropped!" Listen, start to finish, all of it. I wasn't feeling the what I wanted to feel from, because like I knew walking into it, I wasn't a Cardi fan, but the hype that was built up for this, I was like, maybe I'm just, I don't know. I need to do it like, so I listened to it again, and the second listen to, I was able to pick certain songs that like the one with Future, like I pulled it up. So Trim, Rather Lie was good. That's one that I'm probably gonna put on the 2025 playlist. And I mean, like, keep in mind, all of these songs, if I heard them without the Cardi verse and there was somebody else in there instead that mained like as like the headline of the song, oh, I'd probably enjoy the album 100%. But I don't like the specific genre that he's trying to create for himself. It's not grunge, it's not grunge. It's rap, but it's also a mixture of like punk, uh, fucking, I don't even know how to describe it. Grunge is the only thing that I can think of in my head. And it's kind of what Lil Uzi Vert was almost going to for a while, and then he like steered clear after thinking putting a diamond in his forehead would fucking get him some sort of publicity. And then ever since, I guess he kind of like steered the correct direction back. But Toxic, Toxic. I saw Toxic with the title of the song. Cardi's going that direction almost. I feel like he's two publicity stunts away from who knows what, doing some huge implant on his face that is a multi-million-dollar asset that could potentially get robbed. That's how I feel. And I know it's not a popular take. I'm just not a Cardi fan. I'm not just gonna shit on the album because the fans will put me fucking over a fire and roast me for shitting on their 5 year wait. But it's literally called I Am Music. And I mean, like, dude. And then Kendrick Lamar, he shits on Drake for running to like the coast for like or like Atlanta, the fucking New York, just all sorts of areas, and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna play the feature card. I'm gonna give you the banging features, and then I'm gonna bounce." That's exactly the same tour that Kendrick just did. But it's not gonna get recognized as that. It's gonna get recognized as doing an all-time victory lap for the Not Like Us tour. And hey, man, I listened to all the Kendrick songs. What I said earlier still stands. If I listened to those Kendrick verses and then it didn't have some, because there was like two songs where Cardi was on it and I was actually fucking with it. I can't remember what they were, but it wasn't the same voice effect that he always adds himself to, because he can do like 25 different voices, I feel like, but they all have the same kind of cadence of like, I'm grunge, or I'm a vampire, or some stupid shit like that. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? But either way, it overall, I'm gonna say it was a good album for his fans. For people like me who have not listened to it, it was an okay album. If you want to get like one or two songs to add to a playlist, yeah, you'll get that. Like what was it? I always forget the name of it, which is not a good sign. Rather Lie. But I'm not going to go to it for any other songs, to be honest. The one with Travis and Future, that almost got it. Charged them hoes a fee, but it was just too repetitive. And to the second part of the controversial, and man, oh my gosh. This is going to make some people turn off the podcast or hopefully just skip it, like this segment. But I know some people aren't going to be happy with this next review. And keep in mind, music wise, he is up there for one of the greatest of all time. And if you disagree with that, you just don't have the appreciation for music and like rap and hip hop and overall that you need to appreciate him. Because you got to know the ins and outs of like what the fuck happened from 2020, not 2020. That's actually the opposite of when you need to start paying attention. From like 2000s to probably 2016, I'd say. So 2014, let's be safe. So 2000 2014, Kanye West. GOAT. Greatest of all time. That is the status he was building for himself. 2016 to present time, Kanye West is trying to build a status for himself of like, I don't want anybody to be able to manipulate me for my money, and I'm gonna put a big stamp on my head to make myself unworkable, people not able to steal money from me from. If that makes any sense. And that symbol just so happens to be a fucking swastika. Because he's fucking crazy. Like, we all know he's mentally ill. So he's just going through the biggest break he's probably been through since his mother passed. But either way, all of this justification to be said of him being the GOAT, he somehow, I don't even want to say it's a real him like project, but he did release from Kanye West account on YouTube and on the Kanye West Apple profile an album called Bully. And there's not a specific place where you can go, and at least I haven't found it yet. Like, it's not on Apple Music or it's not on YouTube in like individual song format, from my knowledge. But you can't go and just listen to this song to this song. Let's play this song. Let's skip this. Let's go to this song. It doesn't. There's no titles. It's Bully, and it's just a long ass music video. So I listened to it and I wrote it down from song one, first song, second song, third song, fourth song, etc. And I just want to say that there's like a 85% chance that all of this is AI. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky because it's like, it's AI, but it's Kanye West inputting his voice into a computer and writing his own voice into making songs. So yeah, that's weird. And then I guess at certain points, if he needs like a specific sound, he can just get on the mic and make the sound and just throw it in there. So I could see it kind of being like a mixture of both. But I think majority of this is definitely AI, and you could tell whenever he gets down to like the fourth or fifth, it's a weird sounding like effect. The third song, it's like he was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna try to go OG T-Pain, and I'm gonna try to bring auto-tune back, and we're just gonna play with this." Because there's probably some AI that has his voice that you can heighten the pitch, and then he probably added some sort of auto-tune to that already, so it's even more high and it's auto-tuned already. So he was just fucking playing with it. Because it sounded so robot-y and static. It sounded so weird. And I was like, some of them didn't even sound finished. Like a fucking, yeah. The eighth song, again, don't know any lyrics. But like, I don't think that song was finished. He just was like, all right, fuck it. We're just going to throw it on there anyways. Well, it'll sound fire. There's only 9 songs total. And it's like a 40-something minute that I sat through and watched of his son Saint fighting in a ring with a bunch of like WWE style fighting with a bunch of like Japanese bog. I don't know what they call them, but just fighter wrestlers. And I don't even know if they're Japanese, but the whole vibe of the album is Japanese based. So if like the very end, he puts a random logo up. It's up for a Japanese band. So I'll get into that later. But 9 songs, and then once the ninth song ends, he just repeats it, runs it back 1 through 9. So he plays the entire album twice in the video. I was like, okay, well, at least like put like a title or something up for the song so we know which ones are which. But the fourth song that played, man, it got me thinking, why do these rappers just constantly put one song that is dictated towards the Spanish audience and they're like, hey, we're trying to get you all to listen to this album, but like, you just take one song though. One song's enough, right? Drake did it. Kanye just now did it. There's more that have done it that in the moment I was listening, I didn't acknowledge it as like oh yeah, I mean, oh, this just makes sense. But now it's like they just throw it in halfway through the album. It's a complete vibe change. It's like, I'm here for it, but what is happening? It just feels so forced, you know? Plus, let's be honest. Kanye in this specific song has to just have him saying everything in English, and then he gets an AI to just translate it to Spanish. There's no way he's singing all of that in Spanish that fluently. No shot. I'm not believing it. Without hearing some sort of like fuck up in the lingo or how he's talking, the pronunciation, etc. Nah, no shot. Overall, I would say this album was a fucking bummer, dude. Cause like of course, this wasn't a fully ready album. Just wanting to go out as like, this is what I want myself to be known for as musically. This was Kanye fucking around. He's been living in Japan since like October 2024. So like since I don't know if he still is currently living there, but he was living there in October and he lived there for a while, and I think there's a chance he might still be. So I mean, the logo, like what I was mentioning earlier, it's a Japanese band that logo is like it's honoring them. I don't know what the name of it is. It's just, and he had fucking Saint do like some imaginary fight over the video as he's playing the music. It was very odd. It really felt like Kim took North and was like, no, you can't do anything with North anymore. And he was like, all right, I'll go to Saint. Because like he even said online, he's doing this to strengthen his relationship with his son. And like, yeah, that looks like you, before you were like, all right, look, Saint, I understand you're young. You don't have that pizzazz. So I'm going to go to North and then I'll still hang out with you on the side. But I need North for talent wise. And then Kim took her and he was like, hey, Saint, my bud, you want to do that video? Like, what the fuck? That's how it feels. Because I feel like he for sure would have had North in there if possible. But Kim made it to where he can't use her in videos anymore. Or like just songs in general. Which, that's a whole different fucking story. Because you shouldn't be able to do it anyways. That goes against the child labor laws, and it's all sorts of things that it's a gray area where parents can find loopholes for like child actors. It's so weird. But like I said, overall, Bully, the album, a bummer. And that should make most of you all happy who are like, oh, fuck Kanye West, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Alright. His album is a bummer. This man, Kanye, is legit just on one, though. Going crazy. I'm going to end it like I always do with a shout out to 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙄𝘼𝑃. This one, I'm surprised I haven't shout out this person yet. Definitely overdue. I don't even think this bitch listened to the podcast either. I'm gonna put my foot down right there and say I don't think she listens. She needs to, because if she doesn't, I'm gonna start talking shit on her. But it's Diamond, dude. Shout out to Diamond. Hopefully in season 1, I've mentioned many of stories that I've had with her. If not, I'll just start whenever I remember them, jotting them down on my phone so I can tell them on the under the I actually remembered segment, because she was my like active best friend for many of years. One of the coolest people I've ever met. She's out living her fucking living her life, doing her at the moment. I'm so happy for her. Shout out Diamond, because she is one of the realest people I've ever met in my entire life. And she's funny as shit too. She can keep up with the shit talk. She'll fucking keep them loaded 100%. So shout out to a motherfucking real one, Diamond. And that is it for episode 11. I'll see you in the next one.